Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for another office hours training. I am Crystal L. Gunn, your financial strategist and small business advisor. Part of my job as a strategist, be it on the business side or the personal side, is to help you create a solid financial relationship or a strong business base or foundation on which you can grow. I also help you have some aha moments, some self-discovery moments, and helping you see what no longer serves you so that you can release all of that so that you can soar, so that you can thrive. And all of that helps with the breakthroughs. That's where you start to shift. That's where the magic happens, be it in your personal finances or in your overall business. It is Monday, which means it's about mastering money mindsets. I literally just thought it was Tuesday. So it's Monday, which means it's all about, again, mastering money mindsets. And June is Homeownership Awareness Month. So for the next 2 weeks, I want to talk about mindset and homeownership, specifically when in the market to purchase a home. And here are some things I want you to consider. One is your financial comfort. Choose a home that fits comfortably within your budget without stretching your finances too thin. Ensure that monthly payments are manageable and will allow room for other financial priorities and savings. When you get a pre-approval, it's determined off your gross income, not the bills that you pay. Not your net income. So mortgage pre-approval is based off your gross income. The bills that you pay and how you live is based off of your net income. So you want to make sure that that payment is something that you can manage, because again, it's based off your gross income. And so you can't just look nowadays at just the payment. And I talked about this in a previous budgeting office hours training, either last week or the week before, and where 2 to 3 years ago, when interest rates were still low, people could say, you know what, my rent payment is $1,000 a month. I'm comfortable with that, maybe $1,100 in a mortgage payment. Well, that same house today, with the increase in prices, along with the increase of interest rates, that monthly payment on that same particular house might be $1,400, right? And so you have to get out of the mindset of this is where I am comfortable with a mortgage payment, basing it off of what you've been paying in rent, and instead look at what's your total credit payment outlay per month. You may need to pay something else off or decrease some other, something else, eliminate something else altogether, so that you still have the same monthly outlay with a higher mortgage payment, right? And so again, go back and watch those episodes, because I talked about that either last week or the week before on budgeting, which is typically on Wednesdays, right? So you just want to be careful, because I remember having, when I was writing mortgage loans, I had a guy call me, and he and his wife were looking to buy a house and wanted a pre-approval. And I said to him, where are you comfortable with a mortgage payment? He was comfortable at $1,100 or $1,200 a month with a mortgage payment. And so I gave him a pre-approval for that. I think the pre-approval might have been like $1,250 or $1,300. And he called me back, and he was like literally furious. Like, he was mad. He was like, you gave me a pre-approval for $1,300. I went to such and such, and they gave me a pre-approval, at $1,300 a month. He was like, I went to such and such other lender, and they gave me a pre-approval for, the payment might have been $2,000, $2,200 a month. But he didn't call about the payment. He called about the mortgage amount. So my approval that I gave him might have been around, I don't know, 150, 175. Again, I don't remember. And then the other lender's pre-approval might have been, 200, 250. And he called back and he was livid because the pre-approval amount was less, right? And I said to him, I said, you can qualify for that much. But when I asked you where you were comfortable with a mortgage payment, you told me $1,200, $1,300. So that pre-approval is based off of where you said you were comfortable at. I said, that other person sent you that pre-approval. You have no idea he didn't send you what your monthly payment was. I said, so you need to just go back and look. We can increase it if you want, but where are you comfortable? So you got to make sure that you're comfortable in that payment that you're paying so that you're not, that you still can do the rest of the things that you want to do in life and you're not just walking around that house because you can't go anywhere, right? So financial comfort. Make sure the payment works for you, not just the mortgage payment, but the total monthly outlay in credit payments that you have to make. So credit cards, car payments, student loans, whatever. The second thing is wealth preservation and equity building. So consider the home not just as a place to live, but as a component of your wealth. So understand you don't own that home until you pay that mortgage off. Just because you have a 30-year mortgage also does not mean it will take you 30 years to pay it off. That 30-year mortgage is giving you the lowest payment, right? So when determining a payment that works for you, add additional dollars in your budget to pay extra on your mortgage each month. One additional principal payment a year will cut off something like 7 years off your mortgage. So, say your mortgage is, I don't know, $1,200. Can you make $1,300 payment every month? Right? Can you make a 13 or $1,400 payment every month? And maybe not every month, maybe every other month. But what are you adding to that every single month extra that's going to write down that principal balance of your loan so it doesn't take 30 years to pay that mortgage off? Because now you're building equity faster. Because remember, when you get that mortgage, the majority of that first mortgage payment for those first 4 or 5 years are going strictly towards interest. Very little is going to principal. So you want to write that principal down, right? And that way you're building equity faster. And then you also are going to own your home outright free and clear faster. So again, when determining what works for you for a payment, right? And you have that new payment, consider, okay, I'm good with paying $1,500 a month, and that $1,500 includes an extra 150 going to my principal, right? Every single month. So the third thing is legacy planning. Think about the home and how it fits into your legacy that you want to leave for your children and future generations. Too often we don't hold property. We sell grandma's house, things of that nature. Keep property, right? So it might mean choosing a property that has family growth potential or is located in a desirable area that will hold its value. Think about family trust accounts, putting that house in a trust account. So you definitely want that house to be in a trust. But think about that legacy planning. Most times we're looking at just the right now, but when making financial decisions, you need to look at the right now, the tomorrow, and then the generations that follow, or at least you should be, right? But you definitely need to be looking at the right now and then the rest of your life in this lifetime. The other thing is, if you wind up buying a house, let's say in the area in which you really and truly want to be, right? You may want to consider, okay, do I need a ranch house, meaning everything is on one level, so that when I'm older, I don't have to worry about stairs? Or if it's not a ranch, if it's if it has rooms upstairs, does it have a master bedroom on the first floor? So a lot of the newer builds and some renovations now are making that master bedroom on the first floor. And that way, as you get older and possibly can't do the stairs, it's fine. Those are guest bedrooms, but you still have that master on the first floor. So you got to think about, yep, I'm buying today, but how is this house, right, going to last me in this lifetime and then further on? If you already own your home, consider 2 and 3 above as well. It's not too late to start putting these things into place, but you surely don't want to wait. You may own you may want to say, you know what, let me continue to add more to pay off this mortgage. Um, Let's do some renovations. We have a house that is 2 floors, and right now, the master's on the 2nd floor. You may say, "You know what? Let's do some renovations now and create a master on the 1st floor to prepare you for later on in life," right? So you gotta start thinking about, again, today, tomorrow, and then the generations that follow. And by integrating these considerations, you align your home purchase with a mindful money mindset, focusing on financial security, wealth building, and leaving a meaningful legacy to your descendants, right? To your children. And it's okay. Children are going to buy their own properties. Yep. They don't want to live where that is. They want to move out of state. You still want to hold on to that property because real estate adds value. And whenever you look at um, people who have made and done really well for themselves, typically in their portfolio, they have some real estate. So even if your child doesn't want the house and doesn't want to live in the house, there's so many things that you can do and utilize a house for, as it's now an asset because you don't owe that mortgage and things of that nature. So we no longer can think about just us. We got to think about the generations that follow and being able to put things in play. Again, even if a child doesn't want to live in that property, you still don't want them to sell that property, right? So, what are my favorite thing for today? My favorite thing is that credit check, right? You got to make sure that your credit and all of that stuff is in place. You can do that credit check. You can also do sign up for a credit check if we just want to talk about looking at your credit, looking at and helping you think and process through, looking at your credit, looking at if you have a spouse, their credit, and then just the strategies around you getting a mortgage. It makes it easier if you go into it with a strategy. It makes it easier if you know where you are in your mind with what you want to do with that property from the beginning, right? So this credit check, we can look at credit, we can talk strategy, we can do all of those things about you going down that mortgage process. And then we know I'm always going to give, always, always, always going to give some homework because those are the next steps, right? Those are the next steps that we do because life is about elevation, our own personal elevation. And so in this process, you want to buy a house. What are the steps that you need to take? So often we jump right to, oh, we want to buy a house. Let's go get privilege. Let's talk about some things first, right? Especially now with interest rates being the way that they are, especially now too with what's happening in the world economically, you want to make sure that you're doing the solid thing that you need to do so that you don't wind up in a financial hardship before. And a lot of times we're not thinking about certain things. Like you know, I'm not a fan of couples buying a house and they need to qualify. They need both incomes to qualify. I'm not saying that they don't need to be both don't need to be on the loan, but I'm saying if they have to have both incomes to qualify, because if something happens 5 years from now, you bought that house, you all were maxed out, max debt to income ratio, and needed both of those incomes to apply. If something happens to one of you and you can't work, the other person can't pay that mortgage, right? So you got to think about those things. And a lot of times you don't think about certain things just because you don't know. So having that conversation winds up being extremely helpful. Okay. So, what are the next things that you should be doing if you are in home buying season? Think about the things to consider before you start to search for your new home. Think about what I just talked about today. Go back and look at the previous episodes and look at what we talked about with credit, what I talked about with budgeting when it comes to back. Think about these things. Again, the earlier you start the process, the easier it is, the better it is, and you don't get a whole bunch of surprises. And so, what's a comfortable monthly mortgage outlay of expenses, including the new mortgage payment, right? So it's not just, um, I'm comfortable with this mortgage payment, but look at what are your total payments, credit payments. And realistically, you should be looking at that total budget because typically things that have to do with the house, utilities, those things may go up. So you really want to look at your whole entire budget when you think about buying a house, because housing costs, right? Everything that it takes to be under this roof, from, gas, lights, water, maintenance, all of those things, those costs might go up. Some of them you may not even be paying depending upon where you live right now. So you want to think about what's that comfortable outlay, monthly outlay of all your expenses, and making sure that you have that and you're comfortable with all of the payments. And then do the work. Research, get your questions answered, get the questions you don't even know that you need to ask. Do all of those things. Again, the goal is to make this process easier for you. Going through the mortgage process is tricky in the first place. Um, it can be stressful with the best realtor, with the best mortgage loan officer. But if you have all of your things and all of your ducks in a row initially, well, it just helps you in the process. It helps the process be a whole lot easier and less stressful. Okay. So, if this information has been helpful to you, please subscribe to my channel. Be sure to turn notifications on. Share this information with somebody else. It might be somebody that you know that's looking for a mortgage, or their children looking for a mortgage, and they can share that with them. Don't be a gatekeeper to the information. If you are in need of personal or business strategy, or you want to do any type of checkups, all the description links are below. Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Don't sit there wondering, struggling, talking to, your neighbor. Situations are different for each individual. What worked for them, because people will say, well, when we did it, dot, 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 dot. Well, that worked for them. You all don't have the same situation. And so, they may say, well, it was, we did this, and it was that, and it was one person on the loan and all of that. Doesn't mean that that's going to work for you, right? It doesn't mean that that's going to work for you. So you have to pay attention and get the strategy that works for you. Again, so you don't wind up getting bit in the process. And then, as always, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. You don't know what you don't know, right? But you do know that you have somewhere to go to ask those questions. Keep striving for your next level. This is not about a competition. It's about you being better than you were yesterday. Never, ever, ever give up on you, and invest in you. I promise you, it is the best investment that you will ever make. It can say, yep, you got to pay for a consultation. Yep, you got to pay for coaching. Yep, you got to pay that fitness person. Yep, you do. But it's going to save you overall some it's going to save you some time, energy, money. It's going to make things shorter for you. It's going to save you some stress. Invest in you. I promise you, it is the best investment that you will ever make. Thank you again for joining me. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity. Thank you again, and I will see you on the other side.
I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker